Hello everybody. I hope you're all doing really well. I've tried to put this video together 2 or 3 times now, and I keep getting rained on, so I'm hoping that third try will be a charm. I'm actually in my back garden here because I was just tired of driving to locations and then getting rained upon. Having a YouTube channel is kind of a funny thing. When I first started this YouTube channel, my whole intention was to not only showcase my photography, but also promote myself for my photography workshops. And to that end, it's worked really well, except for this last year where we've had to kind of cancel all of our workshops. So I've had to find other means of making a bit of an income. And it's funny because there are a lot of opportunities that have popped up that I didn't even know would come my way. Most of those in the way of sponsorships or people trying to get me to promote their gear, primarily camera gear, but other stuff as well. Now, to be honest with you, a lot of the stuff that people approach me with is, well, either it's not a good match or it's not great gear. I remember when I first started, there was a company called K&F Concepts that contacted me with this tripod. And, you know, I was kind of flattered. And the tripod itself is okay. But I remember going on a backpacking trip with this tripod, and the head kept failing on me. It was a trip I did with my friend Jeremy again, up into the Bugaboos, and I remember that the head kept seizing and it was extremely frustrating. So that's kind of what I want to talk to you about today, is tripod heads. Now then, tripod heads come in all shapes and sizes and all costs as well. You can get a tripod head from like $10 all the way up to thousands of dollars. So I just want to kind of go over some of the options with you and what you're kind of going to get for your money. Now, when it comes to photography, the most popular type of head is the ball head, kind of like this one. But unfortunately, as I've just indicated, not all ball heads are made equally. So as an example, this ball head here, this one's made by Kirk Enterprises, and I bought this probably over 20 years ago, and it still works. It still functions fine. It does need some of the knobs replacing as they've bent, but that's not really Kirk's fault. That's just from me bashing it around. And I remember when I bought this, it was quite expensive, and I was kind of umming and ahhing about it, but it's lasted for a heck of a long time, so it was worth every penny. And also, when I first bought this, I remember I had a problem with one of the knobs, and I sent it back. This was after 2 years of use. I sent it back, and Kirk actually sent me a brand new head. So not only are their products really good, but their warranty is really good as well. And the same with Really Right Stuff. I know a lot of photographers use Really Right Stuff equipment. They're probably one of the best ball heads that you can purchase right now. I just haven't bothered to get one because price-wise, it's just outrageously expensive for us to buy Kirk products in Canada. Once you pay the exchange rate and shipping and duties and all that, it's a lot of money, but they are exceptional ball heads. The same with FLM, not quite as good as Kirk. The one I have has a lot of knobs on it for adjustments, which some people really like. I'm not really that keen on all those little adjustments, but it is a very well made ball head. And as you can see here, I have a whole slew of tripods and different heads. You know, you can have a ball head for this size, for little things like flash units or point and shoot cameras, all the way up to this size and probably a little bit larger than this. For ball heads that are a little bit more reasonably priced and good quality, the Breakthrough Photography ball heads that are coming out, they're really quite nice. This one I think is about $90 or something, which is a hell of a steal for the quality that you're getting. This one actually has a latch on it for quick release. Yeah, it's a great little ball head, and this tripod here I use either for vlogging or for backpacking. Same with this tripod here that I got recently from Three Legged Things. They wanted me to try this out, and it's a really great little tripod. The only thing I don't like about this so much is this very tall center column. As most of you know, I'm not a huge fan of center columns, but you know, some people like them. So something like this is great for travel and backpacking. Now, another tripod head that I've been using a lot lately is a geared head, and this one I actually made a whole video about it, so I won't go over it in great detail, but this is from Sunway Photo. And geared heads are, you either love them or you hate them. They're very slow to use, a little bit awkward, but as I've said in a number of videos now, I really like the geared heads because of their precise movements, and also they really slow me down, like a lot, which I like. I like to slow down and, you know, choose my compositions with intent. I'm not really into rushing around, unless of course the light's changing quickly, then this can be a bit of a problem. But in most cases, I really enjoy using the geared head. Now, when it comes to video, ball heads work fine, but if you want to start to follow your subject, or if you want to do a little bit of panning or tilting, then for video you can't beat a fluid head. Now, when I first started YouTube, after about a year or so, I did purchase a fluid head, this beast of a head here. It's a great head, but as you can see, it's just massive. Like, this head weighs almost as much as the tripod, and carrying this is just too much. If I'm climbing up a mountain, or even just hiking a couple of kilometers from the car, this was just a pain to carry. The quality is amazing, but as far as weight goes, it's just too unwieldy for me. I know that there are a few wildlife photographers that use this head here, this fluid head. They take this arm off and they'll actually use it because they're great for following your subject. The unique thing about a fluid head is that once you've leveled it out and you're panning or tilting, your camera is always level. And that's the kind of the problem with the ball heads. As soon as you loosen that knob off, you can go off from your horizon line. Like, all of a sudden you might be kilted and off angle. So that's why a lot of people use the fluid heads. And also some of the nicer heads, they have adjustments on them so that you can really smooth out that video footage. This one is relatively inexpensive, even though it's a very large head. There are some fluid heads that professionals use for video that can run into the thousands and thousands of dollars. This one here runs, I think it was $200 or something like that. So it's actually not a bad price, but just way too big. And then lastly, this is kind of the head that I wanted to talk about today. And this is the iFootage Komodo K5 fluid head. And I just recently got this to try it out, and what I really love about it is its size. For vlogging, this should work great, right, kind of when you're in a bit of a pinch. The weight of it isn't very much more than a ball head. In actual fact, it weighs less than this ball head. And for those times when I want to get a nice little bit of footage where I'm sweeping around, or if I'm following something, then this is ideal. It has a lot of the features of the larger head here. The only difference is it doesn't have fine adjustments for the panning here. So the way that this works, and ideally if you're going to use a fluid head, then you'll definitely want to have a tripod where you have a leveling base, because the problem with the fluid heads is that they don't swing independently on their own to level the camera out. If you want to level the camera out, you actually have to level the tripod out. And you can do that, but the problem with that is if every time you move you have to keep trying to adjust each one of those legs, it could be a real pain in the butt. So if you have a leveling base, which is a separate base that fits on top of the tripod, there's a bit of a bowl, and then you can set your tripod up, level the head off, and then you're all set to go. The other thing about fluid heads is that they're definitely not really made for photography, because you can only really mount them in horizontal position. You can't mount it vertically unless you have, excuse me for a sec, you may have noticed that on this one I've actually put a separate Really Right Stuff swiveling base on this, so that I could use a camera with an L bracket and actually put it in vertically, because I was trying to use this for photography as well, and it didn't work for me unless you have a lens, a long lens with a lens collar on it. Then it's very easy to turn it vertically and horizontally. But if you're just using a camera with a lens without a lens collar, then it doesn't work so well. So the nice thing about this head though is that, first of all, the arm here you can have either on the right side or the left side, or you can just take it off altogether. The quick release plate, you can actually adjust it so that you can balance the camera out. So if you have a longer lens, you might want to push the camera back a little bit, because you want that camera or your video camera to be as balanced as possible, so that those movements are as smooth as possible. The other nice thing is that it has a lock on it, so even when you've loosened it off as far as it'll go, it has a lock, so it's not going to slide off by accident. And the way that you would get that off is you actually push this button on the side to get the plate off, or on your camera off as well. On the side here, this side here, it actually has a dial on it, so you can adjust the tension of your tilts. So generally I find that for smoother tilts you actually want be able to put a bit of pressure on that and then slowly push down on it or up, so there's a bit of resistance there, so it creates that smooth movement. If it's too loose, then it can be a little bit jarring, but there is resistance built into that mechanism already. Lastly, the bottom here does have a knob on it so that you can tighten up the bottom and loosen it off, and again it already has a little bit of smooth resistance in there, so that when you're pushing on it to the side and then perhaps down and up, it creates that nice smooth movement that you want in your videos. So I think this is a really good head. I haven't used it an awful lot, but I'll definitely be using it on my regular vlogging camera, because like I said, it doesn't weigh any more than a bull head, and I don't use my vlogging camera for taking photographs, so why not have a head like this, so that those times where I want to do a bit of movement either left or right or up and down, then I have a nice fluid head to do that. And I think iFootage will be the bee's knees for that. Incidentally, iFootage, I do have a couple of pieces of equipment from them from before. I have a slider that I use, which is a really nice slider. I know that Gavin and Tom use their tripods because they have, or they're about one of the only companies that makes a tripod without having the leg locks like this, the twist locks. They have actual levers, which I know some people much prefer those than the twisting locks like these. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in there for you. If you do a lot of video and you do quite a bit of backpacking, or you're traveling around a lot and you want something a little bit more lightweight, then this might be an option for you. I'll leave a link down below if you're interested, and I hope that this video kind of helps you with your tripod head decisions, or just kind of figuring out what the different options are. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments down below. All right, thanks everybody.